In today's video, I'm going to be putting some fitted smart blinds from Canisteo to the test against my old generic size blinds from IKEA to see whether they're worth splashing the extra cash on. Let's find out. For some background, I've been using those IKEA blinds throughout my home for a couple of years now, and they've been reliable using both their trad-free hub and connected directly to Home Assistant using Zigbee to MQTT, though they did have a bit of a weird battery drain issue with ZHA. And they've served me pretty well, but over time I have grown increasingly annoyed with them. In part because I decided to opt for inside mounting initially, and had significant gaps either side, so I ended up having to make my own makeshift light blockers, and these were not only an eyesore, but the blinds themselves regularly got caught on them, resulting in me coming into scenes like this almost every day, because the blinds often didn't lower completely straight and level. Now, on an unrelated note, loyal viewers may have seen that we recently had some flooding in our area, and while we were fortunate enough to avoid the worst of it, we did discover that the company that renovated our home before we bought it failed to put sealant around most of the brand new windows. So one of the casualties was a set of those IKEA blinds. So when the lovely people over at Canisteo contacted me about reviewing a set of their smart fitted blinds, it could not have come at a better time. So shout out to them for sending me these top of the line fitted smart blinds free for this review, including all the trimmings like an impressively quiet matter over thread motor option, light blockers, dedicated remote control, and even a solar panel. Now, it remains to be seen how well that's going to work here in dimly lit Wales, but you'll see later in the review. So first, let's test noise levels. Now, since I don't have a proper decibelometer, I'm just going to put my microphone on the bed where I would normally be laying and wind them both up and down so you can hear for yourselves how each sounds. Quick note, both of them sounded extremely quiet with the mic where it was, so I'm just going to increase the volume of both clips by the same amount for a fair comparison. First, we'll listen to the IKEA blind. And now the Canisteo blind. Hopefully you can tell from those clips, because it's very clear in real life that the Canisteo is significantly quieter, especially when it slows down near the end. Next, I'm going to compare how well they each block out the light by putting my camera in the same position immediately before and after I swap them over, to give them as comparable conditions as possible. And given that the Canisteo blinds are custom fitted and have the option for the edge light blockers, this is where I think they're really going to shine. Or not, as the case may be. Once again, as expected, there is a clear winner thanks to the custom fit and added light blockers at the sides. And now finally, I'm going to compare the speed by timing how long it takes each to open and close fully. Not that this matters much for most people, because they'll get there eventually, and many people open them gradually if they want to be awoken naturally anyway. So it's more important that they're quiet in my opinion, but in case you're one of those that is concerned by speed, let's compare them. As you can see from the side-by-side, they both open and close at a pretty similar speed most of the way, but the Canisteo blinds do something really nice where they slow down at the beginning and the end of each movement, making them even quieter as they finish, but resulting in them taking a couple of extra seconds over this nearly 1 meter window opening. The IKEA blinds typically sort of get to the bottom with a bit of a clatter, so this is a really nice touch. So what else is there to compare? Well, the old IKEA blinds used Zigbee to connect to my smart home, which has worked consistently for me since I bought them a few years ago, both via their own hub and directly connected to my SM Lite dongle, as I mentioned previously. The new Canisteo blinds connect via thread using the Matter Smart Home standard, so they'll connect directly to any smart home ecosystem via a recent enough hub, and to Home Assistant using a thread dongle. So far in my testing, they connected absolutely fine since I already have a working thread network and Matter setup. See my previous videos to see how I got it set up in Home Assistant. And they've worked promptly and reliably in my month or so of testing, which is impressive since I have other thread devices that are consistently troublesome. When I eventually figured out how, it was very easy to adjust the blind position on the IKEA blinds, and the same is true of these new ones. I managed to adjust them quite easily as they seem to come slightly long to ensure that they will reach all the way. And since mine actually sagged slightly at the bottom, causing more of a gap at the sides, I've changed the lower limit so that now they are just right. Another great addition to these blinds is the optional solar panel. It will be interesting to see how well it keeps them charged in my use case, as my window is sadly north facing, which means no direct sunlight will land on it where I live. And it's currently winter, so I can't fairly comment on how effective it is just yet. However, surprisingly, in my month of testing so far, I'm quite impressed to see the reported battery percentage has gone up a couple of times, which means it's definitely doing something already. And my overall charge level has gone down a mere 7% in that time, which means it should easily last a year at this rate. Contrast this to my old IKEA blinds, which needed charging maybe twice a year. So if these new blinds do any better than that, it's a win regardless. All in all, in summary, there are some clear advantages to spending the extra money on these very nice fitted blinds. They're quieter, they block out much more light, they keep themselves charged for longer, and they look so much nicer. And crucially, when compared to the cheaper IKEA ones, they always raise and lower flat and level, meaning they move to where they should reliably every time. No more tangled messes. For me personally, my conclusion is that they are definitely worth the extra money, and I'll quite happily be upgrading my other blinds over time when I have the money to do so. I honestly cannot think of another smart home product that has put the word quality so clearly at the forefront of my mind over the course of writing the review. It's unbelievable the difference between the two. The IKEA blinds work fine if you are on a budget, but if you want the absolute best and never to have to worry about them, these are certainly a great option. If you'd like to purchase a set of these blinds, please consider supporting the channel by making your purchase through the links on my website. And as always, remember, home is where the smart is.